Hey, greetings there, fellow makers. Bill here. Welcome down to the shop. Of course, we are live from the shop today over on our Twitch channel. And today is the last day that I'm working on Star-Lord. This is a helmet kit. Again, we've done, I think, 3 videos up to this point to get here. And this was a kit done by my buddy Will over at WM Armory. And of course, if you're looking to get a kit like this, there's a bunch of them over on Etsy right now. They come and go, so I'm not going to put any specific links, but if you see the one by Solo Roboto, he's a buddy of mine and a fantastic maker, you should go grab his kit. This one is all painted, all weathered, ready to go, except for one important detail, the eyeballs. So he's got his red glowing eyes, and that's what we're going to add today. That means some installing of lens type things and some LEDs and soldering and batteries. It's going to be really exciting. Now I lucked out because one of our wonderful prop tarts over at CorSec Props reached out because he's been building these little kits for exactly this purpose. This is a little 3D printed ring that houses a lens on the front and a lens on the back. On the inside you can see is reflective, but it's also see-through and it's blue, and that plays a really important role. Now inside of there is an LED strip, and it pops out over here for soldering. That is an RGB LED. Now if I light up the 12 volt to any of these colors, I can get different colors. So red, obviously I'm going to go with red for Star-Lord, but I could make them blue or any other color depending on the arrangement here. Now the reason why this lens is blue is because if you're staring through this thing through red light, it's gonna mess with your eyesight. The blue actually cancels that out. So what you see when you look through this thing will be kind of blue, but it won't be blasted with red light. It's hard to see. It does darken your vision quite a bit, but you can kind of see through that. The first thing I need to do is there is some extra material here, this lip. Now you can see I've Dremeled it off on this one. I'm gonna do the same on this one. And the idea is we want that to be wide enough that this will fit through it. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to set up the vacuum to suck up all the crazy dust, and then I'm going to use the Rotary Tool to remove most of that material. Okay, all the Dremeling done, good to go. The eyeball kit thingy here can fit nice and snug right in there, and that's what we want. So next we have to do some soldering. This is what I'm aiming to do right here. I want to connect the red wire to the 12 volts and the black wire to the red. I could put it on any one of these to get green or blue, but I want red. So got my other one ready to go there. I can start by putting a little bit of solder on each one of the leads. So let's go with putting a little bit on the 12 volt right there. I don't need much. Just like that. And a little bit on the red. Just like that. Maybe a little more on the 12. There we go. Those are ready. Now I can strip the ends of a piece of wire and solder them down. These are really cool snippers here. I can just put this through here and go boop like that, and it takes the little bit of an end off right there. And I can do the same thing, put some solder on the end of this. Of course, I'll have a link to these down in the description. Great, so let's get a little solder on here. Put a little bit on the end of the wire there. Like so. Now, I'm actually going to bend this a tiny bit now before I do anything too wild, and solder that down. Now, the wire needs to go in this direction. So I'm going to solder it like that. So again, tin the tip of my soldering iron, and then just touch that down. And that is all it takes to have a nice solder like so. And then I just have to do the same thing for the black wire. Snip the end, add a little bit of solder to the wire, like that. And then I'm gonna make sure I don't burn myself. Put this in just like that. And just touch it down carefully. And that's all it takes. Now I should be able to light these up. If I strip the end of those, I've got a 9-volt battery. It's not 12 volts, but 9 volts is enough. If I connect that to that, and if I connect that to that, we have red light. Perfect. And that's what we need to do. And now I can get these guys installed in the helmet. With this all Dremeled out, now I actually super glued these wires down just to be sure that they're not going to run away on me. And now that fits in just fine, like that. And my other one, you can just test, that fits in just fine like that. Cool, good to go. Now I think I want to do some soldering on these before I install them. I think soldering this with all the pieces in there would be a little tricky. So these guys, they're pretty close to one another. So I'm gonna solder these in parallel and then they'll get attached to the battery. So really all I have to do is solder the black wires together and the red wires together. Actually, I can solder all of this all at the same time. I'll show you what I mean. So instead of having a switch, I'll just unplug the battery. I think that's the simplest method. And we have plenty of loose wire here to position this stuff inside the helmet. So I'm just gonna solder all of this to the battery now and deal with positioning inside of the helmet later. Starting with, I have some heat shrink tubing that'll go on the wires of the battery first. So let's cut a couple pieces of that. Like so. This is our battery connector here. So we'll just put that on there, put that on there, like so, and then connect the black to the black. And then connect the black from the battery holder to that, like so. And then I just have to solder all of that together and then cover it with the heat shrink tubing. We should be good to go. A little bit of solder on the tip of my soldering iron, a little bit on the wire, just like that. We have a connection. And then the heat shrink tubing can go over that. And then we use a little bit of fire to shrink up the tubing. So that's the one side. Now we connect the red to the red. I'm actually going to give myself a little bit more wire to work with. Connect these together. I don't think I did a very good job of soldering that. Let's test it on the battery. It seems to work just fine. Put our heat shrink tubing on. Hit it with fire. Like that. And let's give it a test. We have our 2 eyeballs. We have a 9-volt battery. Ta-da! There we go. Now these can go in the face. Did a quick test placement of my eyeballs in here, and they look pretty good. But now I'm going to glue them in permanently. So I'm going to put this one right about where I need it, and then hit it with some hot glue just to kind of tack it in place a bit. So let's see, can we see that? We can see that. All right, a little bit of hot glue, just a little bit on one side, and then I want to make sure that it's inset just a little bit from the front there. So I'm coming back in with a little bit of hot glue, and I'm going to tack down the other side and kind of fiddle with it until it's in the right spot. I think it needs to go in just a hair. I'm pretty happy with that. Now I've just put a little bit of hot glue on either side of this, on the inside, just to make sure that if I have to redo this, I can rip that out pretty easily. But But if I get it just right, then I can go back in and add more hot glue and it should be fine. Let's do the same thing on this fella here. So let's hold that in place. And on the inside, you can see we're just gonna go just a little bit. Just a tiny bit of hot glue. And then just finagle with it until it's in about the right spot and then hold it there. There are our two eyes. That looks pretty awesome. And now to turn it on, all I have to do is hook up my battery. Look at that. Look at that. So this looks pretty awesome. What's cool is you have that reflective material so that the red light bounces back and forward again, so you get a deeper sort of thing. But I wanted to take this the next step further, and I have a laser cutter, so I cut these things out. This is a thin piece of acrylic plastic. I made a little design in Inkscape, and then I cut that out on my laser cutter, and it's just a grid. And what this does is it diffuses the light. So it's gonna go over our, just snug right in there. It'll go over the thing we just installed. It'll also help to cover the lip between the outside here and the inside of our piece, like that. And that just diffuses the light even more. So you can see this eye has more diffusion than that eye right there. And it's a little bit more of a consistent glow. So we've got the other one here. I'm just gonna tack that in place. And right now they're just kind of friction fit in there. So I can probably glue those in like that. And there is Star-Lord's crazy glowing eyes. Ta-da! Here's my idea for getting the battery to stay in there. I've got some hook and loop, and I'm gonna hot glue this onto this battery, so it'll just live on there forever. And then this will get hot glued into the mask so that the battery can be removed. Then any new batteries that we use can we can just put this hook and loop on that, and then that'll just be how it is. I'm also gonna sand this, just rough up the surface a little bit to make sure that our hot glue sticks really well. Let's just do that. Cool. All right, let's glue it up. Start with this thing here. So there goes that. I don't think I need all of that. A little overlap is good though. Excellent. Let's just mash that down. So there's our modified battery. And then I just need a little bit of this loop stuff here. Cool, then this stuff can get glued in there. So let's just glue up the area. Poop. And then throw our material in there. Excellent. We'll let that cool and see how our battery works. That's cooling. I'm gonna tack my wires down as well, just so they're not flying around everywhere. So just a little bit of hot glue to hold these in place. Just like with the eyeballs, I'm just putting a little hot glue in. If I have to modify the position of stuff, I can still do that. But I think this is a good position for this. This can fit. That right there can fit where the battery's gonna go. So I think we're good. But again, just a little bit, not committing to anything too serious right now. Also, if you put a ton of hot glue in, then it takes forever to cool down. Everything's cooled off. I think we're ready to go. The battery can be hooked up like so, and then just placed right there. And that's not going anywhere. Nice and snug in our helmet. So that's what the inside looks like. Not too shabby. And on the outside, we have our lights. The last thing I can do is put these guys in, and they're a little loose. So just like before, I'm putting a tiny bit of super glue, just a little bit, to hold these in place. I don't suspect that anyone wearing this helmet will be doing any gymnastics. Also, super glue can cloud this stuff up a lot, so I don't want that to happen. So I'm just going to push that in, just like that. Same thing on the other side, just a little bit here, and just a little bit up here. And push that together. There we go. That's all installed. Now, if you're wearing this and you want to turn off the lights, you can just unplug the battery. You're good to go. Or you can plug it in. Whoop. I can plug it in while I look at it. There we go. There, look at that. Ta-da! Boy, that looks really cool. I mean, maybe I should make a Star-Lord costume, huh? Okay, this is a little loose when it goes on a human's head. We just tried it on Brittany. So I have some strips of upholstery foam that are just getting hot glued in there. I've got a couple in already. This is just gonna get hot glued up. Like so. And then this gets placed into the helmet. Like so. And then I just hold it like that. Ta-da. It doesn't fit on my head, but it may fit on Brittany's head. Give it a go, Britt. Ta-da!
Yeah!
Look at that.
That's pretty great.
How's your vision?
I can't see much of anything.
No. We may have to go outside and see if we can actually see outside, but it looks awesome.
It's actually pretty sturdy, too.
Yeah.
It's not wiggling around.
Cool. There we go. That's the helmet. All done. There we go. After a few live streams worth of work, the Star-Lord helmet is all done. Brittany's wearing it because it won't fit on my head, but it's done, and I'm super happy about how it turned out. Now, neither one of us is making a Star-Lord costume, but someone we know is. So this is actually going to get sent off to that someone. You'll find out here in the next couple of weeks who that person is. That's all I have for today. Of course, if you want to catch these things live while we're doing them, go to twitch.tv/punishmentprops. Check us out over there. And until next time. Oh, thank you again to CorSec Props, by the way, for the lighting kit. Thank you very much. And he was hanging out in the chat all day, fielding everyone's questions. Okay, that's all we have for today. Thanks again for checking us out, and we'll see you all in the next build. Hey, thanks for watching. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe so you don't miss any of our new weekly prop and costume tutorial videos. For more goodies, head over to our website where you'll find blueprints, tutorial books, articles, and more. We also have a second channel for our Q&A show and extra behind the scenes videos. Thanks again, and happy crafting.